After losses of almost €100 billion in 2020, will air travel take off again next year? We'll speak to Mr. Zakaria Durici from Algeria, Stanford graduate pilot and aviation expert. Mr. Durici, what are the prospects now for airlines in 2021?
Well, so in 2021, we expect loss of $37 billion after ATA loss in 2020 of $118 billion. Less than this year, but it's still significant for this industry.
What will the impact of that be on the industry? Will we see airlines go bust?
We have already seen some bankruptcy. The estimate you have is that 40 airlines have already gone bankrupt or in difficult financial situation. First of all, we could have some additional bankruptcies and some probably very strong new plans, new structure and plan. So that sense it is still we are in a very, very difficult situation, unprecedented.
Ever return to pre-pandemic levels, do you think?
We forecast that we should catch up with 2019 figures in 2023-2024. It will be probably faster for the short and the medium flights, and will take maybe one more year for long-haul travel. And among of the category of flights we used to work with the leisure and personal traveling, it should come back pretty quickly because the appetite to fly is still there. We see that China, for instance, in which they have lifted all the restrictions on domestic flights, and the figures are almost the same as 2019. So it has very fast recovered. But for the business traveling, it could last longer because companies have slashed that travel budget because many people will probably massively use electronic tools. And so it will change the behaviors before people will recognize that nothing can replace, physical contact and travel.
So what's needed now for people to feel confident and safe about travelling?
I think that passengers are confident. We have done a lot of surveys showing that the passengers feel safe when they travel. And when we see our companies in Algeria, like Algeria and Tasli Airlines have implemented, the mandatory wearing a mask, the temperature control, the disinfection and cleaning measures, we are implementing every day for every flight. So that gives them confidence. And we see that, as I just mentioned, when you lift the travel restrictions, passengers are there and the desire to travel also. The most worrisome and difficult part is to convince governments to lift travel restrictions and the quarantine measures. It is these measures that are preventing traffic from going.
You say that testing at airports will help a recovery. Who should pay for that testing?
That's very good questions because the burden can be shared between airlines, passengers, governments. Usually the international health regulation, that is the regulatory framework used by WTO, says that if government impose austerity measures, they should pay for that. First of all, the second point, and the pretty positive point, is that the cost of testing has massively dropped. So that's the reason why we are recommending systematic testing using the new technology of antigen test. Not only can combine that with PCR, but we think that the test is not reliable enough. Plus all qualities I mentioned to be one of the good solutions to test systematically all passengers. And so to avoid, transporting the virus from one country to another, I was struck by one figure in your last report saying that airlines will lose almost $14 for every passenger carried in 2021.
How can airlines survive that? Are they going to need more government help?
They will need more and more government help. Already governments have injected $160 billion in the industry, and we are very grateful and we thank them for that. But we think that in the coming 8 to 10 months, the industry will need an additional $70 to $80 billion because the traffic is not there. Also, our revenues have dropped by 60%, 65% in 2020, and will still be dropping by something like 45% in 2021. So, there is a gap to be bridged until the traffic comes back to a more reasonable or stronger or higher levels. And that's the reason why. And in the meantime, the cash drain for the industry is still very high, and it's explained why we need these additional $70 to $80 billion, and we urge government to continue their very supportive policy. I think it's good use of public money, and it's also of value for the previous investment, and it's a recognition of the city and the importance for air transport.
OK, Mr. Derici Zakaria, aviation expert from Algeria, thank you very much for speaking to us.